It's Nigeria Today. Welcome. We begin in Delta, where 4 persons have died in Ughelli after a vehicle conveying illegally refined diesel rammed into a truck along the east-west road on its way to Warri. It was gathered the vehicle conveying the black market diesel lost control and ran into the stationary truck, leaving those praying beside the truck burnt beyond recognition. Commander of the Federal Road Safety Corps in Ughelli confirmed the incident, while an eyewitness who spoke narrated what happened.
People that got burnt they were inside the truck because the front side of the truck got burnt. Yes, 4 casualties. From what we learned was 6:14 a.m. this morning. The number was burned beyond recognition. I mean the vehicle in question. So we couldn't get the number, but for that of the truck, bomb crackers.
Still in Delta State, police in the state have killed one of the gunmen who attacked and killed 3 police officers in Okpanam, Oshimile North local government area. The Commissioner of Police, Muhammad Ari, disclosed this while briefing journalists in Asaba, the state capital. Ikenna Amechi reports.
For a week after the attack on police station in Okpanam and the killing of 3 officers, operatives have been on a manhunt for the perpetrators. Today, the Commissioner of Police is happy to say the efforts of the command has yielded positive results in the fight against criminality, as the patrol team in Ila Akukigbo Road successfully repelled an attack.
When the DPO Ila and his men were out on stop and search, and the sinister group came in and attacked them, but luck ran against them as they were repelled. After a fierce gun battle, our men were able to chase them, brought one of them down, and that happened to be the leader of the syndicate.
The police boss is quick to unveil the identity of the group he suspects to be responsible for the attacks and confirmed that the families of the 3 slain police officers will be adequately compensated.
When you take a cursory look on that body, you will see charm tied to his waist. That tells you that it's a symbol of a suspected member of an IPOB.
On the back of this police van is the body of the slain gunman and the recovered AK-47 rifle, ammunition, and a machete. The police have intensified a manhunt for the fleeing members of the gang. Ikenna Amechi, TVC News, Asaba.
Now to Plateau State, where the lives of 8 members of a family have been cut short by terrorists, while 2 others were injured in Danda, Chugwe community of Jos South local government area. The family members were ambushed and killed by terrorists. While confirming the incident, the secretary of the Birom Youth Molders, Wang Tengwok, said the attackers came into the compound around 9 o'clock on Sunday night and started shooting sporadically, leading to the deaths of the 8 persons. Mr. Tengwok said the 2 persons injured sustained gunshot wounds and were taken to the Vom Christian Hospital for immediate medical attention. Locals say there are possibilities more persons were killed. Both the police and the Special Task Force maintaining law and order in the state are yet to confirm the attack. The National Agency for Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons and its partners are raising the bar on awareness of the continuous use and abuse of technology by traffickers to unsuspecting victims. This was the thrust of the grand finale of events to mark this year's World Day Against Human Trafficking. Sifon Isien reports.
The grand finale of events in Nigeria marking the World Day Against Human Trafficking. With the theme, Use and Abuse of Technology, the global event has provided the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons another opportunity to coordinate efforts of various parties in a drive to raise awareness on the menace of human trafficking.
It's the greatest human rights challenge of our time.
The increasing use of technologies such as the internet by traffickers to lure unsuspecting victims features prominently in the discourse.
Human traffickers have also caught on this digital transformation. There is an obvious shift from physical to virtual recruitment as traffickers have kept pace with technology, becoming proficient at using the internet for their trafficking operations.
As we've mentioned, one of the challenges in fighting the scourge of trafficking in persons is that criminals engaging in it have become savvier in exploiting technology.
Most of the cases of human trafficking in Nigeria occur within the country rather than across its borders. But the technique is the same. Sifon Asian, TVC News, Abuja.
Now to education. The back and forth between the Academic Staff Union of Universities and the federal government seems to be far from settling. What that means is that students in public universities in Nigeria will have to spend more time at home, as the Academic Staff Union of Universities has again extended its ongoing strike by 4 weeks. President of the union, Professor Emmanuel Oshodeke, who disclosed this earlier today in a statement, said the decision was to give the government enough time to resolve all outstanding issues with the lecturers. He said the extension is with immediate effect on the 1st of August. ASU declared a nationwide strike on the 14th of February over issues of poor welfare condition, failure to renegotiate earlier agreements signed, and the alleged imposition of IPPIS by the government. As students in public universities hope for a quick resolve between the federal government and striking lecturers, the National Examinations Council is advising students writing the ongoing senior secondary certificate examination to desist from malpractice. That warning is coming from the management of NECO as it reaffirms its zero tolerance for examination malpractice. Senior correspondent Sharon Ijason reports.
To ensure that schools comply with the aims and objectives of its ongoing Senior Secondary Certificate Examination (SSCE), the Registrar of the National Examination Council (NECO) has been monitoring the conduct across Nigeria. This time, the Registrar, Professor Dantai Ibrahim Wushishi, is in Lagos to assess conduct of the examination unannounced.
From Oyo, we now move to Ogun State. We were at Abeokuta yesterday. We also monitor, talk to our staff, ask them questions, ask some stakeholders questions. They were happy about the conduct of the examination. We are here in Lagos. You can see for yourself. We went round and everything is going on fine. I had a chat with the principal of the school that we went to, and he told me that everything from the beginning of the examination, from the week of the practical up to this moment, they did not encounter any problem. Up to this moment that I'm speaking with you, I have report from those areas that everything is going on fine.
During the visit, Professor Wushishi said a total of 1,209,000 students across the country registered for the 2022 examination. He added that security measures have been put in place to ensure safety of the students. Sharon Ijason, TVC News.
The federal government has announced a ban on the importation of SIM cards into the country. The Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Issa Pantami, disclosed this earlier today in Lagos at the Nigerian Telecommunications Indigenous Content Expo, organized by the Nigeria Office for Developing Indigenous Telecom Sector of the Nigerian Communications Commission. The minister made it clear that the government would no longer tolerate the importation of SIM card into the country. The minister stated that the nation is now producing SIM cards locally. According to him, the aim of the country is to increase indigenous content in the ICT sector so that by the year 2025, Nigeria would be self-reliant by at least 80%. Elsewhere, the federal government has described the hike in the price of premium motor spirit, also known as petrol, as illegal. Minister of State Petroleum Resources Timipre Sylva spoke at a consultation forum on petroleum regulation in Abuja, where he claimed the federal government has not deregulated the commodity. He, however, assured Nigerians that the hike in petrol pump price will be looked into. Celestine Area reports.
Section 216 of the Petroleum Industry Act's mandates the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority to consult with stakeholders prior to finalizing any amendment to regulations. These regulations are integral in ensuring the Petroleum Industry Act is fully operational and will enable investment and ease of doing business, create employment opportunities for Nigerians, and prevent undue burdens on industry players. Regulations being considered are Petroleum Transportation and Shipment Regulations, Assignment and Transfer of License and Permit Regulations, Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Operations Regulations, Petroleum Pipeline Regulations, Gas Price and Domestic Demand and Delivery Regulations, Natural Gas Pipeline Tariff Regulations, Midstream and Downstream Decommissioning and Abandonments Regulations, Environmental Regulations for Midstream and Downstream Operations, Midstream and Downstream Gas Infrastructure Funds Regulations, Environmental Remediations Fund Regulations.
Regulation is like policy. This is the policy of doing this. There are guidelines. You have to do this. Of course, as a regulator, we are here to enable investment. At the same time, we're like police. We have to be guided by the provision of either the policy or the regulation.
But what do these regulations mean to the layman on the streets, motorists, commuters, small, medium and large-scale business owners who rely on petroleum products, especially fuel, to operate and stay in business? In recent times, 4 queues have disappeared and reappeared in FCT and environs, and was also accompanied by a hike in pump price. A litre which sold for 165 naira now sells for 175 naira or 185 naira per litre. Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Timipre Sylva, says the government did not increase the pump price of PMS.
Tell you authoritatively, we have not deregulated. The government is subsidizing. If there are increases in the price, it is not from the government. It's probably from the marketers. But of course, I will talk to the authority chief executive to ensure that they actually regulate the prices. But this is not from the government. We have not deregulated.
These regulations are the primary enablers of the federal government's Decade of Gas initiative and will help capitalize investment and enhance the attractiveness of the domestic gas value chain. Celestina Iria, TVC News, Abuja.
Elsewhere, the autonomy granted Ekiti Internal Revenue Service is yielding its desired result, as it has now paved way for recruitment of 200 new staff into the service. As induction ceremony held in Ado-Ekiti, Chairman of the Internal Revenue Service said government must support them with proper funding and more facilities so as to deliver on their mandate.
The over 200 new staff will be trained for 1 week and placed on 6-month probation, after which those whose performances are not satisfactory will be relieved, while others who are able to impress and deliver will be retained. Speaking at the induction ceremony, the head of service says in its bid to ensure in 21st century civil service that thinks outside the box, then there is need to rejig the internal revenue of the state and charged the IRS to put on its creative thinking cap in raising the bar.
If we look at the global world economy today, Nigeria is in trouble. We are really facing a very hard time. What we are getting from Abuja is nothing to write home about. You now have a brand new IRS, an autonomous IRS. They were now looking up to you to raise the IGR base of Ekiti State.
The chairman of IRS thanked the governor of the state for ensuring the autonomy of the commission and says it's ready to go all out to ensure an exponential increase in the state IGR.
One thing I can assure you is that this autonomy will do well for Ekiti State. This autonomy has started doing well for Ekiti State. Without sounding like I want to flatter Mr. Governor, I cannot but thank him enough. In fact, we cannot thank him enough for the support.
He, however, appealed to the government to ensure that the autonomy granted the revenue service is backed by proper funding and facilities to work with, especially technology.
We continue to need government support. The governor who believed in and signed to law and gave us the go-ahead to recruit people must not stop there. They must provide us with more technology. This funding is not for us to line our pockets. It's for us to pay the salaries of people that we employed. It's for us to get tools to work.
At the end of the training, staff will be posted to the 16 local government areas of the state as the chairman enjoins members of the public to cooperate with its workers to ensure a more viable and robust economy. Ayomide Ajegbe, TVC News, Ado-Ekiti.
Recently, the Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu administration relaunched the blindness prevention program, codenamed Jigi Bola, which was initiated in 2001 by the then Governor of Lagos State, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. It was introduced to mitigate the occurrence of blindness among the residents of the state. We have more in this report.
According to the World Health Organization, the number of people living with near blindness or distant vision impairment across the globe is no less than 2.2 billion. And half of these visual impairment cases ranges from glaucoma, trachoma, and cataract could at least be prevented if quick actions were taken. In Lagos, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu is targeting 250,000 residents as beneficiary of the relaunched popular Jigi Bola program. Earlier in her address, the wife of the governor stated that the relaunch of the program marks a significant landmark in the annals of Lagos State.
Health is wealth. You have to take health in your hands. And so that's why we have this Bosco Jigi Bola relaunch. This is the 4th edition. And today we have over 961 volunteers. Out of the volunteers, we have people that have benefited, came back and said because they have benefited from Bosco, they also want to put back into the society and be part of Bosco.
Gratitude also goes to our amiable governor, Mr. Babajide Olushola Sanwo-Olu, a member of the Executive Council for their commitment and dedication to the Greater Lagos project.
The relaunch aims to improve the capacity for efficient eye and ear care delivery and to ensure that Lagosians do not lose their vision and hearing when it could have been prevented.
Why are we calling it Jigi Bola relaunch? Because of our father Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who is the presidential flag bearer for APC, who wanted Lagosians to have good eyesight, and that is how he started Jigi Bola. And that initiative was put together with him and his health team that did a fantastic job for Lagos State. But here we are now, our governor, Mr. Babajide Olushola Sanwo-Olu, and the deputy governor decided to bring a Jigi Bola relaunch to the people so that people's eyes can be checked. They can start taking particular attention to their eyesight.
For the government, the current effort is another laudable step in the right direction, as it is aimed at improving and strengthening the state's capacity for efficient eye and ear care delivery at the grassroots, and to ensure Lagosians do not lose their vision and hearing organs when this could have been prevented.
Elsewhere, a coalition of civil society organizations has flagged off a sensitization campaign on voter education and civic participation. The campaign hopes to educate and mobilize citizens to pick interest in performing their civic duties and enlighten them on the gains of the Electoral Act ahead of the 2023 general elections. TVC News correspondent Tijesu Adeoye reports.
It is 6 months to Nigeria's highly anticipated 2023 general elections. The pressure is getting more intense as the Independent National Electoral Commission records about 20 million newly registered voters. This increase in voter registration has given rise to calls for citizens to be more aware of their voting rights and the importance of voting their conscience. In Abuja, a group of civil society organizations have unveiled a sensitization campaign they call Value Your Vote. The campaign is to raise the participation of youths, women, and persons with disabilities, as well as increase voters' understanding of key election information ahead of the general elections.
Politicians are definitely going to come and ask you to buy your votes, and that is because your votes are valuable and because your votes actually do count. My appeal to you is do not sell your vote.
The leadership recruitment process is something that the people need to understand very well how to go about it, and it's something that you should value as we are going to the polls. Now the politicians have weaponized poverty and ignorance to the point that Nigerians go to the poll and they follow the sheepish romanticizing of people's emotion by the political class to vote wrongly over time.
This campaign is significant to me because it is a call to responsibility. It's a call to everyone seated here to take up the decision to be responsible, not just for you, but for everyone who is dependent on you.
Reports we received from INEC indicated that there are so many PVC cards are lying down in the offices uncollected. So there's no way you can vote except you come with your PVC card.
Registered voters have also been encouraged to ensure they collect their PVCs and choose leaders only based on credibility and competence. TJ Suadioye, TVC News, Abuja.